Strap yourself in. Woodwork prohibited. Not available. Must go to shop.
Hi everybody, Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with John Good at DW Drums again. John, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Great to be here as always.
Yeah, here in beautiful Oxnard, California, where I was just telling you, it's 35 degrees cooler here than at my place in Las Vegas.
You're in Vegas.
Yeah,
what do you expect?
In July.
In July.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to fly in there because it's so bumpy.
Yeah,
Heat.
there's no air.
Yeah,
and the thermals. Yeah, exactly.
but I do love Vegas.
Yeah,
you got a great place to live.
Yeah, a lot of great hiking, a lot to do out there. A lot of great entertainment comes through, of course. Oh, there's that. And we're going to talk about something really cool. This is something that we've asked you folks about on our Facebook page, Drum Talk TV. And it's about DW's Icon series, which has a great story behind, because I think, John, what a lot of people don't realize, and I'll start with one of the questions from the audience. They say, are those drums more expensive simply because it's a Neil Peart signature or Roger Taylor signature? And I explain it's more than just a signature piece.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And by the way, because we consider it to be an icon, you know, the icon is like, it started with another artist who plays my snare drums, has for a dozen years. And he's with a very big, one of the biggest bands in the world. And I met this gentleman in Indiana, Doug Durham, and he works for a company that does aircraft interiors. And aircraft interiors they're doing are for Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, whatever, you know, who have just, the word budget is not part of their vocabulary. And he's a drummer, Doug. And he's innocently sent me a piece of inlaid wood that was a DW on a sapele pomele and curly maple, I believe it was. Okay. And I looked at it and I said, my God, that's beautiful. So I contact him. He's a drummer. And so we got to talking, and we were talking about what we could do. And the first thing we did was we did like a snakes and arrows thing for a la Neil Peart. And then one day we were talking, what can we do that was very iconic? So we did a lips and tongue. And I got that. That particular artist happened to call, or have his tech call, 2 years later. I had it sitting in my office.
Oh, wow.
And 2 years later, they say, you know, we want to hear a little deeper snare. And that was a deeper snare. So I thought, perfect. So raced down to the studio where they were rehearsing, and everybody fell in love with it. There's no paint in this. This is all inlaid wood. So I says, yeah. So let's market this thing. And I said, great. You're talking my language here. And anyway, so we met. We talked it out. Very excited about the possibilities of marketing this thing. And he says, the last thing I want to do, just real quickly, is get my management involved. And that killed it.
Oh,
that killed it. The NAMM show's coming. I had my whole thing together with this whole deal. So I quickly contacted 3 gentlemen who I respect tremendously.
Who are true icons.
True icons. Yeah. And, you know, we have Roger Taylor from Queen. We have Neil Peart from Rush. And we have Nick Mason from Pink Floyd days, right? So the whole idea, it's funny you say signature instruments, is the idea is to look at the drum and say, I know who that is. I know exactly what you're talking about. No signature required.
Right. That's what an icon
is. No
does.
Signature required.
Yeah.
So we went from that idea, and all 3 of these gentlemen just said, John, we'd love to be part of this. So this is really what it turned into, you know, like this, the whole idea is iconic, no signature required. When you look at it, you know exactly what we're talking about, who we're talking about.
Right, who, yep.
So here's how we go about this. First of all, Louis Garcia, my artist in paint and art direction, he lays out on the computer the images that we're looking for. And upon doing that, we get together and decide on the exact image and how we can tweak it so it could be done. I source out all the wood varieties, and we send all that, the wood and the information for the computer to Doug. Doug gets it, And they feed that into their computer system, and they start laser cutting all this stuff in. Now, when they laser cut it, you've got to do the opposite image. Right. So
it's a backward stencil sort of
kind of
process. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you can see this, but if you look, this is very rough because you notice that there's all kinds of, this is just the way when we send all the materials and we get it back, it's in this form.
Right.
And it goes from this, and we make it into the drum shell in our shell shop. And these are very precious veneers. So if you can only imagine how nervous Papa is here when we put this baby into 2,600 pounds of pressure at 200 degrees.
Wow.
You know, and it comes out, and my guys are doing a great job. I'm very proud of them. The seams are all lining up, and various parts of it all are critical for alignment, and they do an incredible job, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And so this is how it comes in a 2-ply. It's got a, if you notice here, the maple vertical back and the horizontal bird's eye veneer in the front. Okay? Now, we mold these into a shell, and it's important that you would notice that this is how
wow.
it winds up. Now, what we have here is bird's eye maple, natural. In the crest of the queen, we have dyed orange maple. The Q is red dyed poplar, and the wording queen is all Paduke. So this is all inlaid woodwork. There's no paint.
When is the dye color determined? In Louis' process near the beginning, or once you choose the woods? Because the dye will take to different woods differently, right?
Yeah, well, I use different, there's a process in dyeing wood, which I don't personally do here at DW, but I buy from my wood sources. You can buy various dyed woods. The ones that take it the best are maple, poplar, basswood, right?
Okay.
Those kind of, because they'll accept it. Yeah.
Okay.
But what they do is they literally dye it. So you can sand it, it's the same color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you don't sand off any color.
Okay.
You actually enhance the color. So that's what the queen turned out to be. And we use gold hardware on this.
Beautiful.
This is a stunning piece.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's a 12-ply HVLT snare. That means horizontal and then vertical low timbre shell that's in 12 plies. That's the snare drum that Roger actually plays. I just saw them at the forum here in Los Angeles, and he was actually playing this snare, and it sounded fabulous.
I bet.
Oh, it was great.
That's awesome.
Then we have another one that my friend Neil Peart allowed us to do his time machine snare.
For people that have been on Mars for a while, Neil Peart plays with a band called Rush.
Yeah, a little Canadian trio.
Yeah, 3-piece outfit, yeah.
So anyway, what this is Paduke. Paduke here, dyed orange maple. In the center of the symbol thing, that's natural maple. The line is dyed black basswood with white poplar, and the gear around the lugs is all done in inlaid walnut. So,
and I'm going to hold it steady for the close-up camera.
So you can see this is the exact image of what he does, and his snare drum. By the way, it comes with copper hardware, which is what Neil's kit is.
Yeah.
And this is a 10-ply VLT shell, meaning vertical low timbre 10-ply. That's what Neil plays. You know, Neil never takes anything that we do home, because home is home, the studio is the studio, touring is touring, and when he's done, he doesn't want to be around it so much, right?
He wants to go ride and watch birds.
Ride and write.
Yeah.
Well, he said, John, I'm taking this drum home.
Oh, really? Wow, that's great. Wow, what a compliment.
Yeah, and it comes in a beautiful case, and it comes with documents, and they're all, by the way, only 250 will be made of each variety. 250 Queens, 250 Rush,
So,
And-
so I got to ask you: have you heard, like, in between period 1 and 2, and in between period 2 and 3 of a hockey game, when he's got his buddies over, he says, "Hey, I got to show you guys something." And he goes and pulls out the drum.
I don't know. I don't know what he does. So now we have the Dark Side of the Moon, Nick Mason.
And I just want to make sure everyone understands when John says, that the pieces are dyed. It's literally separate pieces of wood.
Every color you see is a dyed individual piece of wood inlaid into this. It's very tedious.
Yeah.
Extremely hard drum to make. But when we are done, these are going to become family heirlooms, something that you keep, that you pass down to your daughter or your son.
Absolutely.
And I hope that they'll stay in the families, forever.
And it's cool to hear that Roger uses his on tour.
Stage.
Because I see these finished, and we'll show you a finished one in a minute. We probably cut in a couple images. But what I was going to say is, it's one of those things like, wow, I don't know if I want to bang on that. But it's a functional, this is the real deal. It's a drum.
These are not just pretty faces.
Right.
Trust me, these are rockets. These are great sounding drums. And I'm very proud of the way they turned out. This one is a dyed gray bird's eye.
If you don't mind, I'm sorry, point like on this side so that the close-up can see what you're pointing to.
Right?
Yeah.
Dyed gray bird's eye. Inside the prism is ebony. Around the prism is dyed blue poplar. And we have this beam of light coming in here, which is natural maple. And by the way, the only one that we put any little drop of paint work into is just the fading.
The fade, yeah.
Inside the prism. That's it. Louis just goes, psst, and that's it.
Yeah.
Each band down here is different colors of basswood with the pulse sign. And then, as is the features of the prism coming out into the colors.
And there's 6 rows of colors. I don't have my glasses on, but it looks like the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Just like in the order of a real prism.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, I mean, we really worked hard on this.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very proud of how it turned out. It gets black nickel hardware. You want to see what the
let's show
looks
everybody.
like?
And then I have some questions for you
Oh.
from some of you in our audience. Thank you for responding to our Facebook post when we say, hey, you got any questions? Because it's just amazing. I've seen pictures and everything. I saw this briefly now, but to see it,
Right
in
here.
person, seriously, it's
something to behold.
It is. It's heavy duty, man. Look at that.
Isn't that
I
beautiful?
love black nickel hardware on a drum too.
Remember now, there's only 250 of these being made of each variety.
And I want to have you explain, they're not just fancy, iconic signature with no signature drums. There's a financial purpose and benefit for each one in respect to each artist. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, let me explain that part of it. This is, to me, one of the most gratifying parts of this whole thing. I'm an instrument maker. I build drums, of course, and I'm very proud of what we've done here. Mm-hmm. But I'm equally as proud of what's happening and the concept behind the Icon series. For example, Nick Mason, each artist gets a quote-unquote royalty, all right? And that amount that they get, each one of them donates that amount of money to the charity of their choice. Nick's charity is, I don't know if you've been to London, have you?
I haven't yet, no.
Well, in the center of London is an old train switching station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was kind of renovated into a venue which is called the Roundhouse.
Oh, yeah.
You know the Roundhouse? It's when I was a kid, I'd go through London and the Stones were playing there. I actually was around when Pink Floyd was playing there, and it was just amazing. They played their first big gig in 1966, I think it was. And so they made this into a concert venue. And underneath the surface of the floor is like rehearsal rooms.
Oh, wow.
Down below. And they're outfitted with instruments and such. So, and the whole idea is so that underprivileged people, or people who just don't have enough
the money.
dough, let's put it that way, men and women, boys and girls, can go down there and they have access to instruments and rehearsal space.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully it molds some people into actual musicians and they have a career one of these days at it. That's his charity.
That's
to support
awesome.
the Roundhouse.
That's
Gives
great.
me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Cool.
It's
So
good
that's
for him.
Nick's.
That's cool.
The one that Neil Peart has is Saint Mary's, I believe it's called.
In Toronto.
In Toronto. And what that is a very, very massive cancer research center. And they do, like Neil says, tremendous work there for people who are recovering, and some people who have recovered, and some people who are going through that experience of cancer is very frightening.
Yeah.
But thank God for these people and the work that they're doing to try and eradicate that from our lives.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
great.
admire that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Roger Taylor's very naturally goes to the Freddie Mercury AIDS Foundation for research against the virus. And so those are three great things. So you buy a snare drum like this, not only are you getting a piece of the artist and something that they're passionate about, you get a tremendous instrument I'm very happy with, but you also contribute to a very worthy cause.
Yeah. You know, I want to bring up a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
And that's such great stuff. So now you people know a little bit more. It's a lot more than just a fancy drum that is, let's say, upper shelf in the price strata. And some of the people that wrote in, specifically, this is the drum I used in the photo.
Oh, good.
And so one gentleman asked, are these, and I'm using Signature because that's what they use. You know, they didn't understand the concept, but they said for these drums, are they indeed the drums that they use? And you've explained that it is. And one person wrote, does the Nick Mason drum get, the way he described it really well, the watery slap that Nick gets, you know, that we're familiar with?
Well, that was the design of that drum. Don't forget. Now, I know that we've spoken before about shell construction and the direction of grain and the thicknesses and timbres and all those things that we put into a lot of research into here at DW. But being a vertical low timbre, you can tune it in that direction. You can tune it high to being a rocket cutting through the band.
Right.
Or you can tune it down because of the nature of the VLT value in the shell itself.
Yeah. You
And these are all maple snares.
Yeah.
All three of these.
And is it this drum? Yeah. Can you talk about the throw off on this one?
Oh, geez. Me talk about drums? I mean,
And I'll have the camera zoom in on the throw off right here.
Okay. Can you see that? Okay. Very good. This is what's called the mag throw off. Mag throw off was designed for, let's say, when I first designed this thing with Rich Secra, who we've spoken with, he and I spent about a year on this project for the throw-off and the butt plate. If you're playing a ballad and you're hitting, or you want that wet sound that the person was talking about, you might want the snares to be kind of loose sounding, you know? Like in a ballad, you want the spread of the snares. But when you don't have a lot of tension on the snares, being a drop style throw off, you run the risk of that happening. I just dropped it off. So this one will prevent that from happening at a low tension because there's a magnet right here that goes and keeps it.
Let me see
in
that.
place.
I haven't seen that.
See this? Now look at the magnet.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm a very simple man, so therefore it's called the mag throw off, right? And this is your master snare control right here. But let's say you're playing your ballad and you want the snares to be kind of loose sounding like that. The next tune might be a rock and roll tune. So we have a 3-position butt plate here. You got this looseness of the snares, then you have center position, then you got even a 3rd position that's really tight.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 positions here.
Without having to worry about getting your dial back in the same
You can
spot.
just put it. You say this song, I need this tension. Instead of sitting there and distracting yourself from the music that you're playing.
Live in between songs.
So that's the mag throw off and the 3-position butt plate.
That's cool. And you can all find out about these drums, how to get them, how much they are, and read a little bit more about them at wordrumtalktv.com. And on this page where you're watching this, there's a link right down there where the links are for DW drums, but right there on your site. Right, it's right there.
Right there.
Below the throw off.
Okay, great.
Where they can learn all about these and how to get them.
And there's an awful lot of history behind it, and what we're looking to do in the years to come is to add another one. And so you have to watch out for what might be next.
And there may be someone, one of you perhaps, playing in a club somewhere on the weekends who's going to make it big, and in 15, 20 years we'll be here again talking about maybe your iconic drum, right? You never know. You never know.
Very possible. In fact, I hope for that.
Yeah, absolutely. John, thanks so much for going through the Icon series with us.
Dan, it's always great to be with you.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful work. Looks good, sounds great. Most important, all for a great cause. Getting the goosebumps again.
There we go.
And thank you so much for joining us and participating in the questions. Watch for more Drum Talk TV interviews with John Good and other artists and makers of gear and educators right here on www.drumtalktv.com. Thanks.
Thanks.